Hi, this is Dan Danford, and this is another episode of Money Made Easy for dadsdivorce.com. We had a great question from the website today. I've heard there are several things you can do to protect your property against possible future creditors, lawsuits, and other unforeseen circumstances. What asset protection strategies are available? Well, first of all, I always worry a little bit about a question like this. I always wonder what prompts it. What is it that you're doing that concerns you so much? Obviously, there are some professions and things that are high-risk professions, and if that's the case, then you need to take steps. But most of us don't have to worry too much about asset protection as long as we pay our bills on time and we do the things that we say we're going to do. Now, asset protection, like I said, is important for certain kinds of professions, and the simplest way to avoid those kinds of problems is just to be real careful in how you live your life. Don't take big risks. Don't do the things that end up in lawsuits, and if they do end up in lawsuits, don't do things that would get a big judgment against you. So that's the first step, is to live life with some degree of caution. The second thing is if you work in one of those areas, let's say you're a physician. I do some work with physicians, and malpractice is always an issue. Even if you're a good physician, just the laws of probability say that you will be sued at some point in time. So the simplest thing to do to protect yourself in that case is to insure against those kinds of risks. Okay, so what I tell people is if you're in the kind of profession where people get sued for malpractice, make sure that you have liability and malpractice insurance. If you're the kind of person who serves on a lot of boards, does a lot of community work and things like that, then get an umbrella liability policy. That way if somebody sues that organization, you have protection. If you own your own business, make sure you have workman's comp. Make sure you have errors and omissions coverage. Basically, just buy insurance to cover those situations that might come up. Another thing that's pretty common, especially in the business arena, is to incorporate. And one of the reasons why you do that, there may be several, but one is if somebody, files a lawsuit or makes a claim against the corporation, they can't go after your own personal assets. So there's some risk aversion just in having a corporation. That's why a lot of people do set up corporations, real honestly, is that way if the business fails or they run into a lawsuit or something like that, then they don't stand to lose their own personal assets because of that. And then kind of the old standby, and this is one that a lot of people do, maybe they don't even know that's why they're doing it, but one of the reasons why you hold assets jointly, why you own a house with your spouse or you own a car with somebody, a spouse or a child or something like that, is even if somebody gets a lawsuit and wins a lawsuit and so become your creditor, they can't force your joint owner to sell that property to satisfy that judgment. So basically they can get a judgment against me, but they can't make me sell my house that I own with my wife in order to satisfy that judgment. So those are kind of some simple tools. Now you will hear in more sophisticated arenas, you'll hear some things about offshore kinds of insurance companies and accounts and things like that. Truthfully though, most of us are never going to encounter circumstances where they make sense. The main thing to be concerned about is if you're engaged in the kind of business or do the kinds of things that involve a lot of risk, make sure that you get proper insurance coverage to cover those risks. Hope that gives you a heads up on that subject for this week. We'll see you again next week on another episode of Money Made Easy for dadsdivorce.com. Thank you.